Hello everyone, welcome to Sriram IAS. Myself Sriram IAS. So we are meeting again for the ethics session. Today we are going to do the theoretical part. So last time we have done a case study. So today again it's our turn for theory part. So let us start with a new topic, it's new unit itself. Already we have completed unit 1, unit 2 as well as unit 3 and unit 5 also we have completed, right? So we have split it like accordingly, and even I have also given you an idea how the questions are coming, how you have to split and learn the topics. This way we have given various ideas related to the previous 4 chapters. This time we are going to do with respect to the 4th unit. So first we'll begin with 4th unit, then if time permits we'll also go to the 6th unit. We'll start the 6th unit, okay? So in that way, like one more sessions is remaining for us in the series. So what we will do, we will just complete the 6th unit in the next class, and also we'll complete the 7th unit, okay? So this 4th unit is about emotional intelligence, okay? So what is this chapter talking about? It's talking about the concepts, utilities, approaches, and applications. Sorry. Yes. Of emotional intelligence in administration and governance. Okay. In this way, the topic, the syllabus is saying. So what type of questions are appearing from this particular topic? How important this topic is or this unit is? It's a question you are getting. Not, every year we cannot promise there is a question, but even then there is some question which is connected with emotional intelligence concept. Okay, so you have to know the content related to emotional intelligence. What type of questions is the secondary question which comes in your mind? What type of questions are appearing from this unit? Then I can say that very basic questions like what are the components of emotional intelligence? What is emotional intelligence? Starting from that to how well you can tackle emotional intelligence. No, or how well you can tackle your negative emotions. In that way, the questions has been asked, right? So they are also describing some negative emotion, how this emotion is impacting your work, or what is the application of emotional intelligence in the administration, governance. This types of questions frequently appears. So we can see the previous year questions, how the questions has come from this unit. So let us analyze, and then we will move forward. Okay. So see this 2021 also we got a question in the quotation format. Sometimes they also give a quotation which resembles the emotional intelligence topic, and from the way you can interpret it, as this quotation is saying, life does not make any sense without interdependence. We need each other. That means it is talking about social skill. It's not very clear. It is depicted towards emotional intelligence. I already told some questions will be touching this emotional intelligence concept. One such question is this. So here you can see that they are saying that we need each other, and the sooner we learn that, it is better for us all. That means it is trying to say that social harmony is important here. How you will bring social cohesion and social harmony? How will you propagate, how will you promote interdependence among human beings? How will you do that? With the help of emotional intelligence. So indirectly they are pinpointing this too, right? So you have to predict, you have to interpret the quotation in such a way, and then you have to give your answers. Any angle, any other angle also you can interpret it, but here I have done in this manner. Same in 2020 there was a direct question. You can see here. What are the main components of emotional intelligence? This is a direct question, yeah? Main components of emotional intelligence. Can they be learned? So emotional intelligence can be learned, like how you are developing your IQ. Can you develop EQ? That's the question. And discuss. It's a very simple question, straightforward. And again, a quotation type of question also occurred. See this, morality which is based on relative emotional value is a mere illusion, thoroughly vulgar conception. That means the morality which is always focusing on emotional values will not stand for longer time. That's what they're coming to say. Okay, so this is Socrates quotation. You have to bring that, you have to connect emotional intelligence and right. Same in 2019, the question is about emotional intelligence. See, they have described about emotional intelligence and they asked, do you agree with the view? Discuss. Straight. How will you apply emotional intelligence in administrative practices? State forward question. 2017 question was asked. In 2016, they asked a question. Anger is a harmful negative emotion. It is injurious to both personal life and work life. How this leads to undesirable behavior, how it can be managed and controlled. Okay, so application. How emotional intelligence will play its part in controlling, in managing the unwanted emotions or the negative emotions, which is reflected in the form of undesirable behavior. That way, we got a question. 2013, there was a question, what is emotional intelligence? Direct question. How can it be developed in people? How you can develop emotional intelligence? How it helps an individual in taking ethical decision? Okay, so use a role of emotional intelligence. In this way, only these types of question can appear from this particular section. Even in the future, if the questions are coming, it will be also derived from the same topics only, right? So you have to be very careful while reading emotion. It's a very small topic. If question comes, you can box it. Right, now come to our questions. The first question is, I'm not see the first question is saying define emotion. What are the different components of emotions? Are emotions disruptive or useful? Justify your answer. Okay, so the first question is to define emotion. Then you have to explain about the components of emotions, various components of emotions. And then you have to discuss whether emotions is useful or not. So that means it is talking about the role of emotions or the role played by emotions. And then you have to justify. If you're saying yes, it is useful, then you have to justify your answer. Or if you're saying it is disruptive, then you have to say it is, you have to justify your answer. So first you have to define emotion. How you can define emotion? Emotion, as you can say that, you would have already studied. So now you are in the application part only. You are going to take some ideas how you have to present your answer. Then you know what is emotion. If you want to learn about emotional intelligence, you have to cross emotions first. You have to know what is emotion. Then only you will know about emotional intelligence, right? So I have given a few definitions for you. Emotions is nothing but it's a kind of both the bodily and the mental change, I can say. When emotion is happening within us, it's not a kind of feeling alone. Emotion is totally a psychological arousal, a physiological arousal, that is a body arousal which is happening, and a release of hormone is taking place. Because of this arousal of body takes place when we encounter an external stimulus. So here our both our mental, that is cognition, as well as body comes into play, and that is called emotion, and that will make us understand, okay, we are under this emotions. So that's why when you're defining emotion, you can use any simplified definition, or you can define the word emotion in your own or using your own words. Okay, not like this. So he said, this person has said, not in that manner. You can use your own words. As here I have used this definition, you can see that it's a complex pattern of bodily and mental changes, we know that, which includes the physiological arousals, the feelings which is happening after the physiological arousal. As we all know that feelings mostly we mix with emotion, but feelings and emotions are two different faces of the same coin. So feelings are evoked by emotion. When emotion occurs in our body, it evokes the feeling. Okay, so it all are included in physiological arousals, feelings, cognitive processes, expressions which you give out, and the way you behave after the emotions happens in your body. That is why emotion is broader concept than a feeling. Feeling is just you have a positive feeling or a negative feeling, good feeling or a bad feeling, but emotion is not like that. Emotion is the inclusive of all things, like starting from the bodily arousals to the feelings you get, to the mental work, as well as the expressions you do, you show, as well as the behavior you exhibit. All these are included in the form of emotion. This way you have to first define what is emotion. Then come to the question. What are the different components of emotion? So if emotion is this, then what are the components of emotion? So you have to say that the various components of emotions. There are at most 5 components are there. At most we can come across 5 components of emotion. What are they? As you can see, we can start from the cognitive appraisal. Cognitive appraisal, we say this. This is something which is connected to our mind, the way we pursue things. Okay, this, for example, the stimulus is same for everyone. Okay, when a person who enters into a stage, see, if they're asking the different components of emotion, you cannot simply only list out the components. You have to describe it. So it's something which you can say the perspective of a person with respect to external stimuli, how he thinks about or what message or what information he is receiving from that stimulus. That is cognitive appraisal. And not only that, it is also connected with your mind. That means your mind is continuously perceiving things, comparing it with the data which it has already stored, comparing it with the data which it has already stored in the form of thoughts, beliefs, opinions, okay, all that which we already possess. It compares this data with that information. Okay, so in this way I can say that, sorry, in this way I can say that mind is at continuous work. It is trying to relate everything with the way it pursue the things. For example, you and your friend might enter a stage. Okay, the experience which you are going to get is facing the audience, facing the audience. Now the audience is very quiet, they're expecting your performance. You are very much positive in thinking, you are perceiving the thing in such a way that the audience is very much eagerly waiting to hear your performance. Or even after that, even when you're performing, okay, let us take like this, you're performing, they did not applause, they still, they were sitting very silently. So what do you think? Okay, they like this program, that is why they are remaining silent and watching clearly, है quietly. But your friend may think in a different manner, he may pursue the things in a different manner. So for you, what kind of emotions will be generated? For you, happiness, excitement. Oh, my performance is very good, that's why they were remaining very quiet and listening carefully. The friend is totally taking it in a different perception. He is thinking that nobody likes it, that's why they were sitting idle. Okay, so he becomes panic, and that kind of negative emotion starts flowing inside him. So this is something, a very important part called as cognitive appraisal. This is one of the component of emotions. Then come to subjective experiences. This is a kind of feeling which you get after you pursue a thing. You get a feeling, even though, see, you may think that feeling and the cognitive appraisal might be the same, but for example, the same example we'll take. You have taken it, you have perceived the things in a way that the mob is listening to you, the crowd is listening to you, that's why they are quiet. Your friend has pursued it that no, they do not like, that is why they're quiet. But come to the feeling you get. Suppose both of you have the same way of perceiving things. Okay, they do not like my performance, that is why they are quiet. You may have a very strong feeling that I am going to complete this performance no matter what. Nobody likes or not, likes or do not, nobody likes. Even if nobody likes, okay, I am going to put the same dedication, same amount of energy, and I will complete this performance. But your friend is panicked. His feeling is totally ruining him. He get a negative feeling related to the particular atmosphere, and this is something feeling. feeling varies from person to person. Emotion will be same. Everyone who get into the stage encounter fear, but the feelings varies from person to person. Some will take it in a positive feeling, some will encounter a positive feeling, some will get a negative feeling. Okay, so this is something called a subjective experience, and we call this as affective component. Affective. Then come to motivational component, action tendencies. It is something called as action tendencies. After pursuing things, after the feelings and all get generated, now your mind set up some things. It either want to pursue it, pursue towards that particular subject. Subject means the stimulus. Okay, we are talking about the stimulus, external stimulus. Now we are talking about the stage performance. Now the external stimulus is the crowd. Now your mind says, okay, you continue the performance. Or it says, oh, no need, just run away. Okay, so leave the place. It looks very awkward. This is something called as action tendencies, which we plan inside our mind, and this motivates us. That's why we call this as motivational component. Then come to the physiologic component. You can take these two as physiological components. Sorry, this expressions and all. This is something we behave, that is expressive. But even sometimes facial expression we can include in physiologic itself. That is the bodily changes which occurs when emotions comes into play. You would have noticed if person is in fear, what happens? His heart will palpitate, that beat faster, so he perspire, right? Then a lot of changes takes place in his body. His facial face becomes dim, dull. Okay, and it will be clearly shown. Many people doesn't know how to control it, so it will be clearly shown in their faces. Staggering of voices, stammering, right? So these kind of things will happen in your body. These are something called as physiologic. When the emotion of fear occurs in you, this will get exhibited. How will you respond? That is, how will you behave? How are you going to behave? Now you very well know that you are in fear because you pursued a thing that the crowd did not like your performance. So whether you will continue perform, or whether you will move, or you will just stop your performance, you will get down from the stage. So this is the behavior which you're going to exhibit, okay, when you encounter an emotion. So all these are components of emotions. All these are components of emotion. Come to the next one. Are emotions disruptive or useful? So this is the next question. So most of the times we think that emotions are always very dangerous. If a person is encountering emotions, like sad, happy, fear, this is going to ruin his life. Either it can be a personal life, or either it can be a personal relationships, or it is going to ruin his work, his workplace. This kind of mentality is there with us. Emotions are not bad always. Emotions are nowadays considered as good also. Okay, so emotions has to be there. How you are going to utilize that emotions is very much important. So you can say emotions are useful. How emotions are useful? That means emotions is making us understand, is helping us to understand about us, what kind of person we are. It defines to us what kind of person we are. It guides our behavior. It helps us to make our behave in a certain way. That's why some people who are, you know, having sad feeling, sad feeling will definitely not isolate themselves from the society. They will run away, hide, sit idle, close the doors, don't want to talk with anybody. On the other hand, some others who are sad will always approach other people, always go to the crowd, always will in between people. They will sit, they will talk something, they will laugh outside, but inside they are still sad. So these are something that which defines our character, which defines our behavior, which predicts our future behavior also. So suppose we know that we are undergoing a kind of emotion after reading our bodily reactions, after reading the situations, we are coming to know that okay, I'm anxious, okay, I am happy, I am joyful. So this kind of emotions, when it comes, you will know what you will do next. If you are angry, if you are angry, then automatically how you will behave, you will know that, so you can predict your future behavior. In that way, emotions are helping to understand about future behavior. Not only in intrapersonal, these are intrapersonal role of emotions. There is also some interpersonal role. What is interpersonal role? The role played by emotions by helping to build the relationship with other people. How? Because this question comes in mind, how it is going to help with others, every time how we become friendly with others, how others like us, how they are getting attracted to us, how they want to be friend with us, how they want to join with us. If you are caring, tolerant and empathetic enough, that is something called a social skill. How it comes? How will you care for others? How will we empathize towards others? When you are able to read other people's emotions, recognize other people's emotions, then only you will be able to communicate in a proper way, and they will also get interacted with you, and that builds a bond. So emotions are the first start to make up or build a relationship. Okay, so this way, when an emotion is exhibited outside, others read it and try to solve the problem of the other person. In that way, communication starts, and the bond building of bonds also begin. Right, this way you can add much more benefit, much more usage or usefulness of emotions. I have given a few. Now you should justify this also. So how you are justifying that it is useful? For each and every statement which you are giving, at least three statements you can give. In the three statements, you can give with certain example. You can explain that with the help of certain example. Okay, I already gave you an example also, right? So when you are hungry and you become angry and then you want to shout at others, this one example only. Emotions, how it is able to predict your behavior and your future behavior, and also helps to shape your behavior also, right? Now, that's it. So we have completed the first question. Now we'll come to the next question. Can the ability to recognize and regulate emotions be considered as an intelligence? So, discuss the importance of emotional intelligence in administration. So, they are saying the first question asks that. So, you're able to, the ability you're having to recognize and regulate the emotions of the others, whether it's an intelligence or not. Okay, so, and also discuss the role of emotional intelligence with respect to administration. So these are the two things which we have to discuss. The first part you have to write for 5 marks. Second part, at least first part you can short it, not for 5 marks is required. But second part definitely you have to write 6 marks at least. So here, how we are going to do it? As you can see that uh, previously we only spoke about IQ. Okay, how you have to answer this question? The previous question was very straightforward. So we directly entered into answers. No need to give introduction, everything. We defined the emotion. We entered inside. We answered every part. Now here the first question I ask you whether this emotions you are trying to recognize and identify and regulate the emotion. It's also an intelligence. Yes. Then you have to say yes. It is a kind of intelligence only. How in the case of this, how you have to begin the answer? How in the case of acquiring intelligence, possessing intelligence is considered as possessing knowledge is considered as a kind of intelligence. Same, the way you are learning, you are trying to learn or trying increasing your capability of identifying, recognizing, understanding, managing and regulating our emotion, as well as helping to manage other people's emotions and building the bonds, it's also considered as an intelligence only. Not only IQ, you're not only measuring the intelligence, that means the knowledge you possess itself is given as intelligence quotient. Even how much emotional intelligence you are having is also considered as a skill. Okay, so that is what it is written here. It's a kind of a social intelligence, we can say. Emotional intelligence is a kind of social intelligence, right? So that's why we can say that it's also the way it helps a person to grow in his field, in a subsequent field, I can say like that. Okay, so it's a kind of intelligence which is helping a person to move forward in his profile. As we already know, we do have lot of factors, lot of components for measuring the intelligence of a person, that is knowledge of a person. So same way we are also having various components to measure the emotional intelligence of a person. This we call as emotional quotient. We call this as emotional quotient. Okay. So that way nowadays, not only the private sectors, even public sectors are demanding that a person has to possess how he is having possessing IQ. He also should possess similarly EQ also, skills, which is very much required to tackle the environmental conditions in the job. Without that, you cannot be successful in your job. So you should know how you have to manage your emotions at work, and to regulate and manage other people's emotions also at work. Even the railway departments, all the public sector departments are now asking its employee to get trained in emotional quotient. Okay, so you have good knowledge, but what about your emotional quotient? You don't know about your emotions, you don't know how to control your emotions. You are shouting at all the members in the office, in the organization. Okay, so now where is your leadership skill? It is totally ruined, because you don't know how to handle your emotions, how to control your emotions, how to regulate it and use it the right way. So that is lagging. So we say like how a intelligence can be learned, acquired. Same way, emotions can also be the way or the capability of identifying, recognizing, and understanding and managing the emotions can also be learnt and acquired as a skill. That is called as intelligence. Sorry, emotional intelligence. Okay, this is the first part. Now, discuss the importance of emotional intelligence in administration. How emotional intelligence is helpful in administration. Hmm? See this. A person with high emotional intelligence, that is a public servant, a civil servant, who is having a skill of emotional intelligence, already would have learned this. He lights up the workplace. Okay, workplace. So in that way, he improves the work culture. Okay, work culture. That means he knows better about himself. So that means here you can write like self assessment, because he know very well about it. He's going to know the strength and weakness of him. What are the emotions which are often appears in his appears for him, often comes out. And so he is able to assess if he is in fear mode, how he will be. If he is sad, how he looks. If he is happy, how he will be expressing things. In that way, he will be able to assess himself and know about emotional, that we call as emotional awareness, because he is aware about his emotion, and so he is able to self assess himself. In this way, he will confidently implement the schemes or the programs which he has to do. The rules, regulations, everything he will confidently implement, thereby improving the work culture. Okay, not only that, he also tried to become, adaptable adaptable, because he knows the way to control his emotions and manage his emotion the proper way. So he is able to take over the change. When change is happening, he is able to handle it in a proper way. Adaptability is higher in these kind of persons. And the person with the high emotional intelligence know how to, his innovativeness, that is his innovativeness and creativity will be increasing, will be higher. He will act as a change catalyst. Not only that, he will act as a, the public servant can act as a change catalyst. Catalyst. He will also be a good, it improves the leadership skills. Leadership skills. Okay. It improves communication skill. Not only for the team, he requires communication in order to communicate with the general public. So it improves communication skill. His persuasion skill is improved. People starts accepting him. That means his trustworthiness will increase. So his trustworthiness gets increased. Okay. So he will be more responsible in nature. Responsible. Responsive. Okay. Responsive and responsible. That is, he knows if a citizen um is approaching him, okay, for to solve any problem, he knows after reading their faces whether they are trying to tell the truth or not. He is able to predict it, the way the people interact with him, and he is able to understand their pain. That is something called to empathy. So his social skills will be higher. No, his social skills is higher, like empathy and social skills. Okay, so this tolerance, all this will be higher. In that way, he'll be able to be responsive and responsible in nature, and be a better conflict management and conflict resolution. He can do better conflict resolution. Okay, so he'll be able to solve the conflict easily, and it also improves his decision making skills. So like this way we can keep on add. So this you have to give much importance in the second question, as there are two parts here. The second part you have to write a bit elaborate than compared to the first part. Done. Now we'll move to the next question. So in this way, how will you complete the last question? You have to say that yes, emotional intelligence, because the first part is also talking about in that manner that whether it is considered as intelligence. So you can complete it. Emotions itself, the way we are managing and controlling emotions itself is a kind of intelligence only, and this emotional intelligence is found to be very much useful in the administrators for implementing the policy schemes and programs for the common citizen. Right. Now come to the third question from the same unit. What is emotional competencies? Discuss about the components of emotional competency. Is emotional intelligence and emotional competencies are different? So for this question, you can start like, first you can define what is emotional competency. So what is emotional competency? As you all know, what is emotional intelligence? So what is emotional competency? It means what you have learned, you have to apply it. That is emotional competency. How well you are going to exhibit the learned ability, show out the learned ability in the name of emotional intelligence. You're saying, no, I'm having intelligence. When intelligence is applied in your day-to-day issues, a day-to-day problem you are facing, that we call as emotional competency. So that's why you can say that emotionally intelligent individuals who are better in learning and demonstrating, that is the main meaning, demonstrating. So how well they are showing out the learned ability of emotional intelligence is called as emotional competencies. Okay, so this is answer for what is emotional competency. Now discuss about the components of emotional competency. Now we are going to discuss about the components of emotional competencies. What are the components? So there are 5 components of emotional competency. No need to talk much more. So this 5 is more than insufficient. But when you are discussing about this 5, you have to describe a bit about each and everything. So if I am talking about the 5 components of emotional competency, the first one is self-awareness. First one is self-awareness. So I can say that what is meant by self-awareness? This is the foremost component of emotional competency. the way we are able to recognize about ourselves. Recognize means not related to other terms. We are talking with respect to emotions. How my emotions will be whenever when are the situations I'm getting emotional. If emotions comes, then what I am doing, how I am handling things, how I am tackling things. So you're able to study about yourself. So this is the first component of emotional competency. When you are demonstrating certain things, you should first know this self-awareness. Then comes motivation. So what is motivation? Motivation is something like, it's a kind of self-motivation. Sorry, before that, there is something self-regulation. See the self-regulation. So what is self-regulation? After knowing about ourselves and after studying about our, emotions, we should know how to regulate our emotions. We should know how we are going to control and manage our own emotions. That is something called a self-regulation. Okay, so how will you be controlling that? How will you try to regulate your emotions? Like the way you're doing the control of your emotions as trustworthiness, even you are being adaptable to the situations. All these are way of self-regulating your emotions. A person who is having a self-regulation will have these kinds of components. Then comes motivation, self-motivation. So in this case, the motivation means they are saying that, it implies like how well we are motivated to achieve towards the goals. That is something called a self-motivation. Okay. So certain components like achievements drive, like how well we are going to achieve our goals, how well we are committed to our goals, how much new initiatives we are going to take, how we are going to stay positive in our uh, you know way of pursuing the goal. All these will come under self motivation. As you can see, that's a third component which we can discuss. Then you can say about the fourth one, that is social awareness. Two statements is more than enough for this question. When they ask you a question like this, two statements describing that. So social awareness is again a social skill. So previously, the self-awareness, that means knowing about me and my emotions. Social awareness means how well you're able to understand the feelings and the emotions of the other people, either in the family, either in the group, in the official setup. How well you're able to learn and understand their emotions. That is called as social awareness. So it's a very important component for developing empathetic relationships with other people. So in that way we can be tolerant, we can be realize what is their problem and solve it, be compassionate towards them. How will it start? By awareness one. So if you're able to recognize their emotions, then you can learn what problem they are undergoing, right? So here comes various components when you are trying to aware. So empathy comes, and tolerance comes, and even how you are trying to develop others, the skills in other people. All these are kind of social awareness. Then comes social skills. That's also a component only. What is a social skill? The social skill means that what are the tools you are going to use in order to bind with the society in such a way that your behavior has to be accepted by the society. It should be in acceptable manner. At the same time, no, you should also mind your own benefit. Like either it can be a personal benefit or you can give a mutual benefit. That means you can share a benefit with others. So this is something called a social skill. And in that, the components like how will you're communicating, how well you're persuading others, persuasion, communications, how well you're leading others, leaderships, how you are acting as a change catalyst towards others. This way you can take a lot of skills. Just trying to say or describe about the components of this one. Sorry, emotional competencies. Components of emotional competence. There is a third question. Is emotional intelligence and emotional competency are different? Yes, they are definitely different. Why they are definitely different? You know, already we have defined emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence means without even any development, how you are possessing, you know, IQ. Only after learning it does not come. That means only after giving proper training and training you in knowledge, only your IQ is not measured. When you're measuring IQ, normally we try to measure how much knowledge you're possessing, how much observation skills you are having, how much way you are able to reason things. That way we will try to, score, put you in the scoreboard. Okay, this person's IQ is at this level. After taking training, after undergoing certain educational systems, also you will measure the IQ again. Same way, EQ, that is emotional quotient or emotional, like how intelligence quotient, emotional quotient. Emotional intelligence is a kind of skill which even without training you can possess it. Many of us have it. Many of us, like those who are here, some of you, even without undergoing any training or capacity building, you already know how to manage or control your emotions at social, in the society, and how well you have to exhibit your acceptable behavior in the society. So you know very well, since you're a child also, you'll know, you'll watch what you are talking, what you're saying, how you're behaving, whether you're even though you are having high emotional attack, you will not show it to others. So that's the skill which you possess. And sometimes that's why that's a difference. Some children easily they will learn out that their mother and father is not satisfied with their behavior with others or in the society. The way they look, the way they talk, by reading their faces, they can easily understand they are in anger mode. Oh, my father and mother is very angry. I should not repeat this behavior in the society. Some other children will not able to understand what the father and mother is thinking. Only after you thrash them left and right, then they will understand, oh, okay. So you are not happy with what I did. So I should not repeat it. That's why you're beating me. That means the emotional quotient is very poor. So that's why we are saying it's a ability which we possess. But competency means how well you're demonstrating it outside. Even after after you're learning it, the emotional intelligence, you're acquiring it, how well you're able to demonstrate it outside, show it outside, or apply it in our day-to-day issues or day-to-day situations, that is called as emotional competence, right? So with this we are completing the fourth unit also, with respective to the question answer session. No more questions can be thought from this particular topic, or else if they are going to think in such a way, they will be doing it in the form of quotation. Okay, so they will give some quotation, they will ask you to predict this quotation and connect the concept and write. That's it. So that type of form of question also would appear. Right, now we'll move to the next unit, sixth unit. Sixth and seventh unit are a bit big unit. So as you can see, these are some of the topics which will come across in your sixth unit, which is talking about the service values, that is public service or civil service values, and ethics in the administration. This is the topic. So what are the topics which are coming under this? As you can see, these are some of the topics: status, problems. Then we are talking about the ethical dilemmas. For us, for the discussion here, you can consider this as ethical dilemma and conflict of interest. This you will be studying in this topic. The laws, rules, regulation, and conscience, a source of ethical guidance. So this is another important topic. Very often you will face question from this topic, from the ethical dilemma and conflict of interest topic in this unit. So far, this topic is very important. This topic is also very important. This also. And this, nowadays it is gaining importance. This one. Corporate governance, so far 2 questions has appeared. But the accountability and ethical governance is also another important topic I told you. Very often you will find questions. Strengthening, again, there is one more topic, strengthening of ethical moral values in governance. You have to just read it. You have to use it when you are writing answers, connecting it with the other unit. You have to write. Now, ethical issues in international relations and funding. International relations and funding, it's another topic. IR. Okay. So, IR related issues often will come in your, even sometimes in case studies also. Theoretical part also, nowadays they are asking from this particular unit, they are taking up certain issues, they are discussing and then asking you to write. Then the last topic is corporate governance. So there also you'll be trying to talk about the how we are talking about ethical governance and good governance. Here you will be talking about the governance of corporations. Okay, so here these are this also. Okay, you can read. You can read this topic. But these four are very important. See this. We can assess the old question. Then we'll come to know how this topic is asked. How the questions are asked in this questions are asked from this particular topic. We'll know about it. As 2022 there was a question. There was a question from the corporate governance sector, especially with respect to the CSR, corporate social responsibility. Okay, corporate social responsibility was asked as a question, right? Because in 2013 Companies Act, we inserted this CSR as a 2% bill, and 10th year they asked us a question in CSR, again repeated as a question. Year wise questions will come. So CSR asked us a question. So they were asking a question like whether it is able to fulfill the role or responsibility for which it is the broad examine. See this is an IR related question. Russia-Ukraine war related to that. So they have asked a question, ethical issues crucial to be considered while launching a war and illustrate with justification ethical issues involved in the given region. Okay, so this way IR related question. And accountability ethical governance also appeared. See how many questions has appeared from this unit? 1, 2, 3, 4 questions. And another question, 6th and 7th unit combinedly, they asked 2 marks in 2022. So nowadays, the last 3 years, these topics are gaining, this unit, that is 6th and 7th unit, are gaining lot of importance. There is a straightforward question, you can see this. There is a topic I showed you, accountability and ethical governance. That's a topic. I told you very often questions you will face from this topic. Like how corporate governance, how IR is important. This is very important topic, the accountability and ethical governance. So they asked a very straightforward question, what is meant by good governance? Talk about certain initiatives taken under the e-governance. Okay, so e-governance is also a part of good governance only. So they started asking about e-governance, discuss with suitable examples. This was a question. And you can see in same year, I also said these two topics, it's very, very important. I told you like that. Along with these 3 topics you take. These are very important topic, very, very important topic. Very often you will be finding it. In 2022 also you find a with respect to laws, rules, regulations and conscience a source of ethical guidance. You can see this. Ethics is knowing the difference between what you have the right to do and what is right to do. Okay. So that is said by Potter Stewart. So it is describing about ethics and law. Right. So what you have the right to do and what is right to do. What is right to do is ethics. What you have the right to do is law. So it's something is related to law and ethics only again. So you have to differentiate between these two and give your answer. You have to write, in such a way. You have to take a example. Then you have to explain it with respect to from law alone and then ethics. Then for ethics. So in 2022 or 21 also there was a question from ethical dilemma chapter, topic this came. As you can see, resolving ethical dilemma. So a public official need innovativeness and creativity. Discuss with the suitable example. The question was like this. Then come to the next question. Next question is also from is from the that is laws, rules, regulation and conscience. Often you will find this conscience question. Crisis of conscience. Will emotional intelligence help to overcome the same? So they connected 4th unit and the 6th unit. Can you understand? So this way, in answers also you should try to connect. Even examiner also sometimes they will connect and ask the question. So it's one such question. See next question, refugees. told you last 3 years IR is gaining importance. The 2022 year they asked about war. 2021 they asked about refugee problem. So they asked you to examine the statement with reference to the ethical dimension being violated by the nation claiming to be democratic with an open society. So this way they asked a question. They came out with a question like this. 2020 you can see the question. How it has come. The will to power exists. It can be tamed and guided by rationality and blah blah. So this is context of intent. They themselves has given. It's related to IR. Now see the next question. Distinguish between laws and rules. So that's that again the topic. Laws, rules, regulations, and consents are source of ethical guidance. They asked you to differentiate between laws and rules and discuss the role of ethics in formulating both. 2019, there was a question like a very straightforward question. What is meant by crisis of conscience? Again, I told you repeated question will come. In 2021, you got the same question. 2019 also they asked a question like what is crisis of conscience? How this crisis of conscience is getting manifested in the public domain? Okay, so that kind of question will appear. Come to 2018. What is meant by conflict of interest? What is meant by conflict of interest? Straightforward. Ethical dilemma and conflict of interest. Illustrate with the example between the types of conflict of interest, actual potential conflict of interest. And even there was another question also. The process of resolving ethical dilemma in public administration. It's two questions from the same topic only. Ethical dilemmas and conflict of interest topic. And again in 2017 also you can find ethical dilemma topic. See this, how the conflict in the administration be resolved. Okay, so this is conflict of interest question again. Conflict of interest. Here they asked what is meant by conflict of interest. Here they have discussed the conflict of interest and asked how you can resolve it. Then see this, corporate social responsibility make a company profitable and sustainable. Analyze. 2017 you got a question. Then it again repeated in 2022. So corporate governance question has come, especially with respect to CSR. This is related to IR. Strength, peace, security is considered as pillars of international relation. Elucidate. Then even in 2017 there was a question from last regulations. See this. What do you like? Even without ethics, law is nothing. Okay, so in that way there was a question. What do you understand by the statement? Explain with the examples. 2016 they asked a question. Law and ethics are considered to be two tools for controlling human conduct. So discuss how they achieve the objective and how they help. Okay, giving examples for how they differ. Differences also you have to write. Similarities and differences. 2016 that was a question. 2015 question again if you know. Direct question was there, differentiating law and ethics. So how many times I have repeated this? So far, when I am taking the whole question, again and again, the differentiation between laws, ethics, differentiation between laws and rules, okay, or how ethics is, how the laws, rules and regulations has been formulated with the help of ethics. These types of questions is repeating again and again. Ethical dilemmas means what is ethical dilemma? What is conflict of interest? How will you resolve conflict of interest? How will you resolve ethical dilemma? What is the process you will follow to resolve the conflict of interest? Okay, illustrate various conflict of interest with examples. These types of questions is repeating again. Again, see this, the last rules and regulation. See, read this. Do you agree? They have given a statement and they said, do you agree? Explain with the help of two examples. When an act is ethically right but not legally, and an act is legally right but not ethically. This kind of question has come. And even next question, you can see this IR related question at the international level. Bilateral relation between most nations are governed on the policy of promoting one's own national interest without any regard to the interest of other nations. So they are talking about the conflict of interest in international arena. So again the same question, issues of conflict of interest. What do you understand by conflict of interest? How it is manifesting in the public domain? As public servant? Same question only repeated. How would you resolve it? Explain with the help of example. See this, how many parts are there in this question? Same way only we are also making a question. So in 2014 and 2013 also you find similar questions. Accountability questions also you can find. Okay. So this is talking about accountability, responsibility. What responsibility is that? What does accountability mean in the context of public service? Right. So far 2014 only we got direct questions for accountability. Otherwise, after that, we are getting questions from ethical governance part. Okay. So then again, there is a possibility of repeating this accountability section. So far, we have not got any straightforward question. There is chances of repeating it. Or sometimes same ethical governance may also appear. Then come to this, what is understood by term of voice of conscience? The conscience part is focused here. Okay, what is meant by crisis of conscience? So both. So this is something which is related to laws, rules, regulations, and conscience, a source of ethical guidance. Often, then alternate years or 1 year later, you will be questioned with respect to conscience. Or if they are not asking about conscience, they are going to ask about the laws and ethics, differences between laws, ethics, difference between laws, rules. These kinds of questions will appear from this topic. So we have analyzed the 6th unit. We have known how many topics are there. Then what are the very important topics from frequently you are facing questions. So you have to keep those topics in mind, go through it in a proper way, prepare a ready-made answer, and then you will be able to write what matter questions are appearing or what form the questions they are giving. If you are able to read English, if you are able to understand the meaning, then you will know how to predict that question, interpret it, then form an answer. Got it? So this is what you have to do. That is why we are also saying, don't study in two languages. Either one language you have to speak. So it will be easy for you to form your thoughts and the way you express the thoughts. It's very important in this. Okay, so now come to the question which we have framed for this particular topic. The first question is, what is ethical dilemma and conflict of interest? That's, are ethical dilemma and conflict of interest the same? Can you discuss about different categories of conflict of interest? Okay, so here, how will you answer this question? First, you have to define what is meant by ethical dilemma. First, you have to give two definitions: ethical dilemma and conflict of interest. Then you have to say whether the both are same only. So then you have to discuss the categories of conflict of interest. How are you going to do it? First, what is ethical dilemma? Ethical dilemma means it's a very broader concept. It's a very broader idea where you are facing a situation in which you are left out with more options in your hand. Every option is equally justified. That is, they are right from their own perspective. Okay, so that is something. Now you don't know what to choose. Both are equally right. Which one I have to go? Which one I have to choose? So that is something called as ethical dilemma. Or sometimes you have to choose the lesser bad from two bad options. It's also an ethical dilemma only. Or even sometimes your own interest, your own personal interest will conflict with your way of performing the official duty. Your own personal interest will conflict with your way of performing official duty. That also is a form of ethical dilemma only. Or even sometimes you are facing a problem, you don't know how to solve it at all. There is no way out. There is no options left over for you. That's also ethical dilemma. Then what is meant by conflict of interest? What is meant by conflict of interest? That means that conflict of interest is always considered as a subset, it's a small part of ethical dilemma. Right? Why we are saying it's a small part of ethical dilemma? In conflict of interest, we are always considering our benefit or the people who are related to us, their benefits comes in conflict with objective decision making and affect our duty, official duty. Okay, so that is something called as conflict of interest. So first you have to define both. As you can see this, ethical, we have given a definition. Ethical dilemma is a problem in the decision making process that between two possible options, neither of which is absolutely acceptable. Okay, and are choosing from two or more ethical choices, are choosing bad, less bad from two bad options. This is something called as ethical dilemma. So what is conflict of interest situation? As you can see, we have described here. So you have to define like this. You have to begin this question by defining like this. It's a situation in which a person or a public official, employee, professional are influencing their objective exercise of decision making in his official duty. Come to the second part. Are ethical dilemma and conflict of interest the same? I told you. Conflict of interest is a part of ethical dilemma. All that means all conflict of interest is a kind of ethical dilemma. All conflict of interest is a kind of ethical dilemma. But all ethical dilemmas are not conflict of interest. Okay, so this statement you can record that all conflict of interest are a kind of ethical dilemma, but all ethical dilemmas are not a kind of conflict of interest. So from this you can clearly differentiate the two. Then they have asked a question. Can you discuss about the different categories of conflict of interest? So if you say this is the conflict of interest, what are the different categories of conflict of interest? For that, you can have an answer like the self-dealing is a kind of conflict of interest situation. Self-dealing is a kind of conflict of interest. How it is a kind of conflict of interest? See, self-dealing means you are in a government job. You are holding a government position. This position, you are trying to misuse this position outside the sphere of your office. You are using position inside your office. That means you are trying to inflict authority on someone. You have to. Otherwise, you cannot try to lead the team. You have to use your position as a manager, control the team. But outside your office, you cannot say that, see, I am so and so. I am IAS officer of this district. Who do you think I am? And you're trying to use this position and try to take a private contract or try to secure a position for your son or a daughter using your position, official position. Okay, so this is something like we call as self-dealing. Self-dealing is a category of conflict of interest. Self-dealing is a category of conflict of interest. So because the question demands us to discuss about different categories of conflict of interest. Okay, so that's why we are doing this. Second thing, second category of conflict of interest which we can take is accepting benefits from others. The first is you are misusing your position. That through that you are getting benefit. You are misusing your position. You are using it in the wrong way. Second is accepting benefit. That is bribe taking. Taking money, for example, from the people or in the form of gift. Traveling to Dubai, family tour. Who is sponsoring? Somebody who is going to get some benefit from you is sponsoring. This way you're trying to take benefit. Okay, and influence peddling is another category of this conflict of interest. What is influence peddling? That means that person tries to take benefit by exchanging, using his influence, his or her influence to fulfill one's interest. Influence in the society. You have an influence. In your office, you have an influence. Using this influence outside in order to take some benefit or give benefit to a particular party, to a particular group, I can say. You are going to give benefit to a particular group using your influence. You know who is son of so and so. This is something called as influence peddling. So you try to use your influence in an unfair way, in such a way that is going to benefit a group of people. Okay. So when a crime has been committed, and a vehicle has banged down a man, and it has killed, overran him, and it has killed him. Now the group which has driven the vehicle, the group which has driven those vehicle and was moving from one place to another, consists of all high profile people's daughters and sons. And the person who is driving that vehicle is also a very high profile person, the son of so and so. And now, once when this incident has happened, police has come to check and they have understood the situation. They know that this car has overrun the person. Now they caught him red-handed. After inquiry, he comes to know that he is so and so. He is the son of the chief minister or this that governor or anyone. Huh? So now what they do? They try to make a call. Law says that they all are equal before its eyes. But what is happening? They try to make a call. They try to inform that your son or daughter has overrun this person. Now the family is saying that this person has to be punished. They don't want any settlement. They want only justice. Then now what happens? You are using your authority or position and saying that, are you mad? Why are you taking my son to the lockup? You know what to do. You do that. You will be getting benefit from this. So this way you are using your influence in order to change, in order to give benefit to a particular group or a particular party. So that we call as influence peddling. Now come to the next one, that employer's property you are trying to use for private advantage. We are using the employer's property for the private advantage. Okay. So how you are going to do that? Sorry. Yes. So how we will be able to do that? So as we know that how well we are going to, in most cases this happens. How it happens? You are going to the office. The office has provided, because you are in a position. They have provided a government vehicle for you. But what happens? The entire family going to beauty parlors, going to picnics, going to theme parks, everything. They are using this car. So is it right or wrong? So this is something like properties. It's also a conflict of interest situation only. You are utilizing the government property for your own interest. So for your own usage. So this is something kind of, it's also a category of conflict of interest situation only. Okay. So then there is another thing like using confidential information. You are holding a very important position. You are holding a very important position, and now we come to access to certain information. Well, very often this happens in the media sectors. What happens? This media people, the journalists who are working in the media, they get access to very sensitive issues. Lot of information they get in hand. What they try to do, they try to use this confidential information which should not be revealed outside. They try to give it to the concerned person for benefits they are going to exchange with them. For instance, for money. For instance, like money they are going to get, or some some other benefits like some positions they are going to give to you. Same it happens in the public office also. When you are working, you are in in a particular administrative department, you are getting access to some confidential information. Now you are trying to steal this information. You are using it for your own usage or for any other person's usage. You are trying to give it, and then this is kind of a conflict of interest situation. So something called as moonlighting. Moonlighting is also discussed as a category of conflict of interest. What is moonlighting? This made a lot of news in the newspapers also. Moonlighting. When pandemic has come, uh, workers has been asked to work from home, work at home. This was the slogan which was there for the past few years. Now what happened when they started working from home? What they did is that they started taking similar jobs from different companies. Already they have been employed in one company. Now they have been side by side working with the another company for another project. Mostly the software industry people only started doing this. This is something called as moonlighting, where they will be, using the extra hours for working with similar jobs in other companies. So they said that, there were a lot of arguments related to moonlighting. When this particular term appeared in the newspaper, a lot of big business people started discussing about it. Few accepting it, few opposing it. Same way, that's why this is also considered as a conflict of interest situation. Why? Why it is considered as a conflict of interest situation? Because if this is the case, that I am working in one company, I am developing a software project. In two cases, it can be a conflict of interest situation. I am working in a company, I am working for a project. Let us consider this is A company. I am working in a company. Now I am going to take extra job in a B company, which is a competitor of A company. Now this A company is developing a project. Which is new in the market. They are going to introduce in the market. B doesn't know about anything about it. Now B is waiting for some information related to this project. Now you are the same person who is going to work in A company also, B company also. Even though you don't have intention to share this information with the B company, the way you work is going to reveal the data which you have used for the company A to be known to the company. This in this situation it takes a form of conflict of interest situation. One case. Second, what is the other way that it can become a conflict of interest? When you are dedicating your time, previously you only dedicated your time to company A, contributed completely your time for company A, and put up full effort and worked wholeheartedly, continuously to complete the project of company A. But now you have to split your time. Can contribute only few hours to company A, and then you have to also dedicate time for company. If not, you are not able to put the same effort and complete the projects on time for company A because you have been employed in company B. This is something called as conflict of interest in case of moonlighting. The last one also, you can use post-employment, these kind of. So these are some of the categories of conflict of interest, or when all conflict of interest can happen. So post-employment, how it is going to make a conflict of interest situation? Very easily it is visible. You are an administrative officer. You are working for the government. You are acting as an agent of the government. You have to be an impartial officer. You have to make objective decisions. You should not have partisanship mentality. So you have to be a non-partisan. You have to be objective. You have to be impartial in your decision making. If so, how come you become a governor of a state? How come you hold a bigger positions in the government after you get retirement? After you get retirement, already you have worked most of your hours in your life. You have crossed 60 years of age also. Now, even after that, you are appointed not one or two. You know those people who are trying to be associated with certain political parties are going to get benefit in this case, post employment. So this is also kind of where you are trying to compromise certain interest of the people, the job which you have already hold, in order to get benefit after you retire from the job. This is one example. So you cannot work completely in the impartial way, and at the same time you cannot satisfy political parties. Either you have to compromise some of the some of the duty which you have to perform, that is serving the public. Either you have to compromise that in order to satisfy the political master. If so, you can travel along with them. You can secure a position after you get relieved from your job. This is one kind of conflict of interest. Even there might be a situation in such a way that you are holding important position in the journalism. Now you collect a lot of information. You are collecting enormous information. It is in your hand, data bank. What are you doing? Okay, fine. This is my job. I am very fed up with this job. I am going to come to this particular area where I can provide this information to do strategy work for your political party. Okay, so this is something called as a post-employment. So you are stealing the information completely. You are utilizing those information because you are in the responsible position. You get access to that information. And you're doing some job after your employment in such a way that information which should not be revealed out, you're revealing it out. That is post-employment. This happens with respect to ex-servicemen also. That's it. So this is a question which demands you what is ethical dilemma and conflict of interest. That means you have to define it, and then both are same or not, then you have to say no, not the same, and how you have to explain. Then you have to discuss the different categories of conflict of interest. I have given a few categories for you like this. Okay, like this we have discussed a few categories where and all your own interest will come and contradict with the gender interest. Now come to the next question. When we talk about conscience, we often refer to reflection about ourselves as moral persons and about our moral conduct. Through conscience, we examine ourselves as if we were our own inner judge. Explain. So this is a statement which they have given. So how your answer has to be, you have to first start with what is meant by conscience. You have to connect it with the question that the question is demanding you to examine that how this conscience is acting as an inner judge. Okay, so you have to explain that. That's a question. How will you write the answer for this? So first you have to begin like this. That the role of or role played by the conscience for an individual is of two way. One is to gain a knowledge. Okay. Other is to see. One is trying to know about us, the knowledge which we are trying to acquire. Another is to justify your action. So that's the role of conscience. The role performed by a conscience in a person. How it will help you to gain a knowledge? So conscience means, first of all, what you all know, that it's something which is inside of us, which is guiding us from it. Whenever we are facing a moral problem or ethical problem or ethical issue, it is guiding from inside of us, saying that you can do this way, you can perform in this way, this is right, this is wrong, go in this direction, perform this type of act. This is something called as conscience. So if it is so, if it is a way of gaining a knowledge, how it is trying to help to gain knowledge, that means the way you are observing the other person's behavior or even our own behavior. Our own behavior. That is something we are gaining a knowledge about ourselves or about others. So when you gain knowledge about ourselves, then what happens here? The conscience is more like a judge. So when it is trying to observe a person's behavior, it is acting like a judge and it is producing a judgment. Okay, so that it becomes a judge and justifies a person's actions. How it is going to judge a person's action? So that's why it's something. Sometimes it's called as critical conscience by Immanuel Kant also. Immanuel Kant discussed this as a critical conscience. Why? Because when we are trying to observe the people's behavior, we not only simply observe it, we will not only simply see it, we will not only simply exhibit a behavior. When we are trying to watch our own behavior or the behavior of other people, We simply try to connect that behavior and assess the behavior by considering ourselves as a judge. Okay, so inside of us, there is a kind of court or a kind of kingdom, somewhere like where justice is to be delivered. So it is like in such a way that here there is your conscience is acting like a judge. It is continuously accusing you or accusing you. Okay, it's saying that okay, what you have done is right or what you have done is wrong. This way, it is continuously, accusing you with respect to a particular action. So it is acting like a judge. That's why we are saying that conscience is acting as an inner judge to judge about our behavior as well as the behavior of other people. Even a lot of movies also has come. So when there will be a person who always will imagine himself as a king. So he is a poor person already. Actually, he is a poor person. He will imagine himself as a king. So he will work in a house. He's a maid. He will work in a house. In the house, there will be different characters. When some issues is happening in the house, he will watch that incident. Then he will imagine that he sits in the throne and these people will talk before him and he will judge their actions. Oh, what you have done is right. No, what you have done is wrong. So in this way, he continuously accuse somebody or accuse somebody. That way, he evaluate the other people's action as acting as a judge. So his conscience is acting as a judge for other people's action. Same way, our conscience can act as a judge for our own actions also. That is what it is said here, and that is what it is explained here also. Even Kant also said that conscience is conceived as an inner court, like a court only we are considering a conscience. So something like where moral self-awareness to apply the moral law suggested by practical reason to our moral conduct and to judge whether we have complied with the moral law or not, whether we are following it or not. So Kant defines it in the metaphysics of morals. Conscience is practical reason holding the human being's duty before him for his acquittal or condemnation in every case that comes under a law and consciousness of an internal court in man. Okay, in this way he is saying. So you can use this paragraph also. This way you can say that conscience is acting as a judge and helping us to analyze our actions. So this you have to complete this question in this manner. We have completed only half of the portions of the sixth chapter. As you can see, sixth chapter I told you there are the topics like this. In this, we have framed questions for this one, conflict of interest and ethical dilemmas. So this also we have completed. Conscience, one form I have completed it. But the remaining topics are especially the ethical and governance and accountability, and as well as IR and corporate governance is remaining, as well as the seventh unit is remaining. So we will be clubbing the sixth unit and seventh unit. We will be framing some maximum 5 to 6 question in the next session for you to discuss. We will discuss in that angle. Okay, we cannot do for every topic, but we will frame questions related to some 2-3 important topics. Sorry, maximum 4 topics from the 7th unit and the important topics from the 7th unit and 2 important topics from the 6th unit. In this way, we can make around 6 questions. Max we can take around 7 questions. So in this way, we will complete the 6th and 7th unit. And the next, next class is about the case study class. So next will be a case study class. After that will be the last for the theory part. In that we will discuss the rest of the leftover topics of the 6th unit as well as the 7th unit will take over. Right. So I have given from one angle I have done this ethical dilemma and conflict of interest. But if you have to make or write an answer or frame an answer with respect to this topic, then you have to know about the types of ethical dilemmas, types of conflict of, you take one term, ethical dilemma, then you have to prepare with respect to the types of ethical dilemmas, what are the ways we can resolve an ethical dilemma, or how a public servant can solve if there is an ethical dilemma situation, the process of solving ethical dilemmas. This way you have to be prepared. Same way, when you take conflict of interest, You have to know what is first, what is conflict of interest, then what are the types of conflict of interest, then what are the process in which, the ways in which the conflict of interest situation can be solved. So what are the categories of, what are the categories of conflict of interest which is appearing in our life, and how conflict of interest can be solved in case of administration or administrators. This way you have to be prepared with respect to this topic. Next topic also, you can see this laws, rules, regulations and conscience. I cannot frame every question with respect to that topic, every angle, but I have made from with the perspective of conscience as giving a quotation. I tried in a different way. Same way, when you are trying to study this particular topic, you have to prepare notes about everything, laws, rules, regulations, conscience, everything you have to be prepared. In that, you should know how to differentiate between laws and ethics. You should know how to relate between laws and ethics. And you have to know, you should know how to differentiate between laws and rules. Okay, then conscience. What are the types of conscience? What is, other names for conscience? What is, how is conscience useful to human being? This way you have to know about conscience. And with related laws, rules, generally you should know what is, how they are differing from each other, how ethics is including everything. Okay, because conscience is equal to ethics. That you'll be learning in your classes. That way you have to connect it. Okay, so with this we will complete today's session. We'll meet again in the next session for the case study. Okay, next Saturday we'll be meeting. So have a great week ahead.